Howdy, folks. I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit.
You're gonna tell people what you did today?
Oh, yes. Amber and I used that black trash bag that we had from her birthday gifts, and we put it to good use. But don't worry, we're not going to tell you what we used it for.
We didn't use anything for it. It just has trash in it.
Yes, trash.
Literal trash.
Good cover, Amber. Literal trash. No, Amber wanted... I did Amber's makeup, and for the 300th kind of special subscriber episode of sorts, and that will be going up at some point in time. Probably not today. Probably not tomorrow, but soon. So that's what Amber was talking about. Not the black trash bag, which has literal trash in it.
I am Brian. We need proof that it has literal trash in it.
I love how riled up she gets. She's like, everyone's going to think something bad about the trash bag, Brian. Alright, let's get started. Our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Saying It's Weird That My Siblings Are Getting Married? Okay, so this is a throwaway account for obvious reasons. These are also my half-siblings. I'm a 24-year-old female, and my half-sister, a 21-year-old female on my mom's side, and my half-brother, a 22-year-old male on my dad's side, are getting married in December. Both of my parents have been supportive, but awkward about it. My mom took my sister dress shopping on Saturday, and I stayed at my brother's house to have lunch with him and my dad. We started talking about the wedding, and I randomly blurted out something along the lines of, "This is so weird." When asked what I meant, I stated that my siblings were about to marry each other and tried to crack a joke about incest. This did not go over well. My brother called me a bee and said that I was unnecessarily making things weird. My dad stayed silent. I immediately defended myself, saying that technically that's exactly what it is, and that's why it's an awkward situation. I tried to get my dad to chime in, but he refused to stand up for either of us. My brother asked me to leave, and later that day I got a call from my sister saying that if I couldn't be supportive and happy for them, then I shouldn't even bother coming to the wedding. I feel like this was all blown out of proportion. Am I a jerk? Edit. I'm banned for 3 days, so I can't respond to everyone. 1. Yes, we were all legitimately raised together, just within 2 separate households, but since we were in diapers, we've been raised as siblings. 2. Whoever said that they haven't been dating for more than a year, that comment clearly says, my parents. 3. I apologized and got called a C-word, so whatever at this point. You all right, I'm a jerk, congrats. Alright, so Amber says that there are some relevant comments in hand, so I'll get to trying to read those and finding those, and then I'll give an update after that. But for starters, I think OP is a jerk in this situation, and I think OP has made a situation more awkward than it needs to be. You know, one of the things that Amber was saying is that they weren't even raised together in the household, and so that's why it's not as awkward as it might seem. So I guess they've just been friends for a long time. And basically, they were kind of raised in separate households, so yeah. But OP is kind of taking this and blowing this out of proportion, and it feels like they're not able to get over their own feelings in this situation. They aren't biologically related. They weren't even raised together. So why OP has a problem with this is kind of beyond me. It just seems like they're, being a little extreme here. I mean, I can certainly understand why it might make them feel a little uncomfortable, but, the thing is that this isn't illegal, otherwise they wouldn't be able to do this. So, I mean, I think that's really where everything comes down to is, if in the eyes of the law, this is seemingly a fine situation, and not that the law always is right, but in this particular case, I really can't understand why there would be a problem for these two individuals who aren't related by blood to actually get married And yeah, so that's kind of my feeling on that situation. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Okay, so this is the comment that Amber was talking about in particular. Yes, we were all raised together. It was just my sister and I under the same roof, but the three of us grew up practically inseparable, bringing this up because someone tried to say that we weren't raised together. But, I mean, in this particular case, like, OP is saying, well, they weren't raised together, but then wouldn't that mean that if you were friends with someone while you were growing up, then by the same definition here, that would make them, related? So if they weren't even raised under the same roof and they just saw each other on a regular basis, it's not really any different than, two childhood sweethearts who, grow up to marry each other. So I don't know. That is what happened here. At least that's what it seems like. You're the jerk. They are not related to each other, or they just happen to be both related to you. You're allowed to feel weird, but you keep that to yourself because, while it's an odd occurrence, calling it indirect incest is taking it too far. And kind of someone from the opposing view. I hate the way everyone has taken to the whole blood is everything route. Does it mean that I can marry my sister I grew up with because I'm adopted? Can I marry my birth father? After all, I'm not legally related to him. Of course not. That's weird. Like it or not, if you grow up with someone, you're a sibling, and I would call it incest with no hesitation. Agreed, the whole situation is odd and may be difficult to wrap your head around when you're literally in the middle of it. OP is the jerk for making that unnecessary comment. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for uninviting my bridesmaid from my wedding after her husband was disrespectful? Too long didn't read at the bottom. I'm a 24-year-old female and I went out for drinks with two other couples, a 24 to 26-year-old, one married. The other is in a relationship. Unfortunately, my fiance couldn't make it due to work commitments. My best friend and bridesmaid, E, and husband, M, made everyone uncomfortable all night. Suggested me and his wife and other friends, L, have a threesome with him in front of his wife, and describing to me in detail what he wanted to do to L's girlfriend's sister, K. Later in the night, he told me I was settling for my fiance. I was clearly unhappy and shouldn't just marry him because I had his child. He said a similar thing to L's girlfriend, and they actually ended up splitting up after this. I left shortly after, and after speaking to my fiance, who considered M a friend, he doesn't want him at our wedding. Understandable considering he proposed a threesome with the bride and also told her not to settle for the groom. So I had an awkward phone call with E ahead of me. I then heard from L that he took it a step further that night. He cornered K outside the bathroom at the bar and told her to her face the explicit things he wanted to do to her, including getting his friends involved. Once I heard this, I knew I had to tell her, which I did. It was awful. We both cried, but she said she was grateful for me telling her. 10 minutes later, me and L have an apology call from M, which is him claiming that he was blackout drunk. Couldn't remember anything from getting a taxi despite him cornering K before this, and he's sorry if he said and did those things, taking no actual responsibility. The next day, E said it's all fine and he's sorry, and he said he won't do it again, so she forgives him. Fine, her marriage, her choice. Even if this is the third time he's done something like this. I thought it was sorted, but a week later she messaged me and asked me if M is 100% not invited to the wedding. I reply, 100%. And all of a sudden, I get a barrage of, I can't believe you do this. He's my husband. You're my best friend. You can't make me choose. I would always choose my husband. There's going to be so much tension from now on. If you claim you've never said anything you regret while you're drunk, you're lying. It gets to the point where I've told her not to come either, losing a bridesmaid and a friend in the process. I didn't want her to choose. I just didn't want him at my wedding. Am I a jerk? Edit. When I first told her what he said and done, She told me she understood us not wanting him there, and she would still be attending. She then went back on this nearly a week after. All right, OP. I mean, I can't understand why she's still with him, to be quite honest. And this seems like a almost abusive situation on her part, where he's like, oh, I won't do this again. I'll make it up to you, blah, 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 type stuff. This is the same kind of song and dance and tactics that, abusive people use to basically, put themselves back into the good graces of the people that they abuse. So he's, this is not a good person. He does not seem like a desirable individual. And generally speaking, there's alcohol at weddings. And if he can't control himself and he's claiming that, oh, I'm a completely different person when I'm drunk and I can't control myself when I'm blackout drunk, can you imagine him coming to your wedding and then doing these exact kind of things and saying these exact kind of things? What happens if he somehow gets a hold of a microphone and starts saying, oh, you're settling for this guy? That's not going to be a good situation. That's going to be even more awkward. So, yes, you're making the right decision to not have this guy here because this is a train wreck waiting to happen. If he comes to this wedding, then it's going to be a train wreck. Plain and simple, and you have to prepare for that. So I'm glad that you put your foot down and said, no, he's not able to come to the wedding. Should you have lost a friend about this? This is unfortunate, and this is her choice. And again, hopefully she can see past this and see past his facade, because this is really unhealthy. And it seems like she's in a very unhealthy relationship right now, especially with him saying these kinds of things. So I think that you can't put a fine enough point on how bad of a person he's being here, and that she needs to start to really reconsider her relationship. But again, there's no guarantee any kind of intervention or anything like that is going to be successful, especially in a relationship like this, where he may be using these kinds of tactics to basically keep her, clinging to him. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Just repeat, sorry you see it this way. Due to M's repeated inappropriate behavior, neither I nor my fiancé are comfortable with his presence at our wedding. It has nothing to do with you, and I'm sorry you're caught in the middle. It doesn't mean you have to cut her out as a bridesmaid, but if she continues stirring up drama, then you know best, not the jerk. And OP replies, unfortunately, I've said this multiple times. She keeps saying he's done nothing wrong and apologized, and refused to accept that he couldn't come. She turned me into the bad guy, and that's when I had enough. Not the jerk. A wedding is supposed to be a time of joy and good vibes, and this guy, M, is probably going to get blackout drunk again and try this on others. It's unfortunate that you are losing a best friend in the fallout, but that's on her. And OP replies, thank you. Part of me worries that I was too excessive in uninviting her too, but I was just worried she'd sulk or cause a scene at either the hen do or wedding. If she brought it up and tried to fight it just a week later, I doubt she wouldn't bring it up again. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
In a world where there was some Reddit, there was some advice by Brian. And here's that advice. In a world full of Reddit columns, here is the only one where there is a Brian who gives advice that I am aware of.